Hello, everyone. I wish you a happy new day. Peace and good luck. That morning, the sky wept a soft drizzle. Raindrops gently tapped on the old tiled roof, like distant chimes echoing from the past. The garden trees glistened with dew, their leaves trembling with every passing breeze. The sky wasn't dark, but the pale morning light gave everything a dreamy haze, serene and expectant, as if nature itself was holding its breath, awaiting something sacred. Inside Jack's cozy house, Lytutien carefully ironed Jack's white shirt. She smoothed every crease with precision, then glanced at him with a gentle smile. Jack wore a light gray suit, his face a mix of seriousness and quiet anticipation. Lytutien wore a pastel blue dress, simple yet elegant. Her hair was tied in a loose bun, adorned with a small white flower. They didn't speak much, but their eyes said everything. As Jack adjusted his tie, he said, "Today my mom is getting married." Lytutien smiled. "I know. I hope she'll be very happy." A car horn sounded from outside. Mr. Dung's wedding procession had arrived. Leading the convoy was a 7-seater vehicle, where Mr. Dung sat dressed in a traditional deep blue owl dye. Beside him were his son and daughter-in-law, both dressed neatly and wearing warm, cheerful smiles. Several smaller cars followed, carrying close friends and family. Despite the rain, everyone smiled, holding umbrellas and chatting joyfully, filling the air with warmth and camaraderie. Mrs. Loy had been ready since early morning. She wore a light pink owl dye, simple yet refined. Her hair was neatly styled with a small white floral clip. Her eyes sparkled with joy and emotion. Though she had lived through many years, this moment felt like a first, filled with excitement, joy, and hope. Mr. Dung entered with his son to perform the traditional tea ceremony. The small house buzzed with laughter and heartfelt blessings. After a brief ceremony, offering tea, a pair of symbolic scrolls, and some sincere advice, everyone headed out to drive to Mr. Dung's home, where the main wedding celebration would take place. Though the roads were wet, everyone's spirits were high. The cars moved slowly through the light rain. Colorful umbrellas shielded both families as they stepped out of their vehicles. Mr. Dung's house was modestly but beautifully decorated. The arch of the entrance was adorned with fresh garden vines and wildflowers. White tablecloths covered the chairs and tables, and vibrant yellow chrysanthemums were placed all around. A small stage featured a sign that read, "Wedding Ceremony, Loy and Dung, a new chapter at 60. Guests began taking their seats. Mrs. Loy's family mingled warmly with Mr. Dung's. Children played under the canopies, while adults shared laughter and conversation. Jack and Lytutien helped with drinks and made sure the elderly guests had comfortable seats. Everyone wanted the ceremony to be perfect. Soft instrumental music filled the air, creating a nostalgic atmosphere. Once all the guests were settled, the MC took the stage and invited the bride and groom forward. Mrs. Loy took Mr. Dung's hand, and they walked up together, slowly but with unwavering trust. They were no longer shy youths. Their eyes reflected lives well lived and a deep appreciation for the time they still had. The audience didn't erupt in applause, but smiled quietly, some wiping away tears, not out of sadness, but from being moved. The MC shared a short story about how they met. Afternoon tea on the porch, morning gardening side by side. No drama, No extravagance, just two hearts, once lonely, now found. When Mr. Dung took the microphone, he said, "I can't promise anything grand. I only wish for us to hold hands through the days ahead, peacefully and joyfully. I'm grateful I met her when I thought I'd spend the rest of my life alone." Mrs. Lloyd gave a gentle smile, her eyes shimmering. "I once thought, at this age, living for my children was enough. But Mr. Dung helped me realize I still deserve to be loved." The courtyard filled with applause, laughter, and quiet sobs from those touched by the moment. Jack gently squeezed TL TIEN's hand. She leaned on his shoulder, her eyes glowing. The ceremony hadn't concluded yet, but everyone could already feel a sense of completeness in their hearts. The wedding ceremony of Mrs. Lloyd and Mr. Dung was unfolding in a warm, intimate yet solemn atmosphere. Fresh flower garlands adorned the entire yard. Soft golden lights cast a gentle glow, creating a space that felt both cozy and grand. The gentle music blended with the lively chatter and laughter of the guests, making everything feel complete. Mrs. Lloyd wore a delicate pastel pink traditional dress, her face glowing with indescribable happiness after years of hardship. She couldn't hide her emotion standing beside Mr. Dung, a humble and sincere man who had stood by her through the toughest times. Mr. Dung, dressed sharply in a suit, looked at Mrs. Lloyd with tenderness, as if to say this would be a new beginning, a peaceful life they both deserved. Jack, Mrs. Lloyd's son, stood nearby in a sharp black suit, his eyes a mix of joy for his mother and worry about the future. Although it wasn't his own wedding day, he couldn't hide his emotion witnessing such an important moment for his mother. Beside him, TL TIEN, his loving partner and steadfast support, smiled gently, holding his hand tightly, sharing the happiness. As Mrs. Lloyd and Mr. Dung exchanged wedding rings and heartfelt vows full of love, the whole yard erupted into applause and well wishes. Everyone believed this was a perfect new start for a happy, love-filled family. But then, at that very moment, a figure appeared at the main gate, instantly drawing all eyes. It was none other than Jack's biological father, a successful businessman who had mysteriously disappeared many years ago, leaving the family in pain and loss. His sudden appearance instantly changed the atmosphere, making it tense, heavy, and full of surprise. Mrs. Lloyd looked as if struck by lightning, her face changing from joy to shock, then deep confusion. For many years she thought he was either dead or had abandoned the family, and now he stood right before her eyes. All the emotions she had suppressed over the years burst forth. She slowly walked toward him, tears welling in her eyes, feeling a mixture of relief, anger, and bewilderment. Mr. Dung, standing close by Mrs. Lloyd, was speechless. He understood that this man's return would bring many complications for Mrs. Lloyd and Jack. Yet, with his calm and understanding nature, he stepped forward gently, placing a reassuring hand on Mrs. Lloyd's shoulder, trying to ease the tension. Jack's heart pounded fiercely as he stood there, overwhelmed by emotions. For years, he had wondered where his father went, why he abandoned his mother and him. Now that the mysterious father was standing before him, Jack didn't know whether to feel happy, angry, or hopeless. Memories and unanswered questions flooded his mind. He stepped forward, his voice choked with emotion. "Dad, why are you showing up now? Why did you let Mom and me live in loneliness all these years? Why not even say goodbye?" His father looked at Jack with eyes full of regret and exhaustion. After a long pause, he said, "Son, I know I've hurt the family, especially your mother. I went through many hardships and was caught in circumstances beyond my control. I never wanted to abandon you all, but I was forced to leave to protect my life and assets. Now I'm back, hoping for forgiveness and a new start." The atmosphere grew heavy. Everyone could feel the torment in his words, the inner struggle in Mrs. Loy, and the emotional turmoil in Jack. Many eyes filled with tears. Sighs echoed through the room. Mrs. Loy stood silently, feeling as if her heart was being torn apart. The past pain surged back violently, but deep inside, there was still a longing for healing. She glanced at Mr. Dung, her eyes full of doubt. Mr. Dung smiled gently to comfort her and placed a steady hand on her shoulder to show he was there for her in this difficult moment. Mr. Dung spoke up. We should give him a chance to explain, but we also need to prepare ourselves for the challenges ahead. Mrs. Loy, you're not facing this alone. Jack nodded. Despite his confusion, he chose to open his heart and listen to his father's story. He understood this return would be a major turning point, not just for him, but for the entire family. The wedding ceremony was paused. People gradually left the area, leaving a private space for the family to confront this new reality. Mrs. Loy sat down, her face wet with tears, while Mr. Dung stayed close, a solid pillar of support. Jack came to sit near his mother, wrapping his arms around her, his eyes full of protection and understanding. Detailed reactions of each person asterisk. Asterisk Mrs. Loy asterisk. After years of bearing loneliness and heavy burdens alone, her ex-husband's return shocked her deeply. At first, she wanted to blame and be angry, feeling betrayed. But ultimately, fatigue and a desire to heal led her to temporarily set aside the past to listen and understand why Jack's father had disappeared. She also felt guilt toward Mr. Dung, who had stood by and loved her during the hard years, creating a complicated mix of pain and awkwardness. Asterisk Mr. Dung asterisk, a man experienced in life. He knew the father's return would stir up many upheavals, but he also saw the love and responsibility in Mrs. Loy, so he remained patient, understanding and respectful of her past. He was ready to be a steadfast support for her, knowing the road ahead would be challenging. Asterisk Jack asterisk. He went through a whirlwind of emotions, anger, disappointment, confusion, and finally forgiveness and a desire to understand. He longed to know why his father abandoned them and what he had gone through. He also felt the ache of missing a father's love and comfort. The sudden return forced him to balance anger and maturity in how he viewed the situation. What happened next asterisk. After the wedding pause, the family began private meetings to talk and unravel the knots of their hearts. Jack's biological father explained he had been caught up in a complex business incident and forced to leave to protect his life and assets. He revealed he had always followed Mrs. Loy and Jack's lives from afar, but couldn't contact them. Mrs. Loy, after days of thought, gradually accepted and forgave, but set many conditions to protect her current happiness. Mr. Dung stayed beside her, supporting and building their future together. Jack learned to let go of the past, open his heart to his father's affection, and build a new relationship. Though many difficulties lay ahead, their family began a new chapter with faith and forgiveness, love, and hope for the future.